All right, folks, as I alluded to at a little earlier, we're going to talk now about Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks and entrepreneur extraordinaire, said at one point after the Donald Sterling remarks became public, he said, this is a slippery slope we're going down here. He then, after that, after the commissioner spoke, was in full support with what the commissioner did. However, now he's incurring the wrath of some on the left for remarks he made. What did he say? It was a taped interview hosted by Inc. magazine, a video recorded interview, and he said this: if I see a black kid in a hoodie and it's late at night, I'm walking to the other side of the street. And if on that side of the street there's a guy, he has tattoos all over his face, a white guy, bald head, tattoos everywhere, I'm walking back to the other side of the street. Now, what are some upset with? They're upset with the fact that he dared to say hoodie, because that's disrespectful to Trayvon Martin. Back with us, Kevin Jackson and Grace Marie Turner. Kevin, you know what? I say take the team away from him.
You know what's funny, man, is that remember when Chris Matthews said Chicago was code word?
Yes.
The left is willing. Look, Mark Cuban was exactly right. Slippery slope. I still contend that those Sterling's comments were, vile and stupid in many ways. I know racism. As a black kid, having grown up in America, recognizing it firsthand and being observant, I know what it is. And to actually say that to harken back to Trayvon Martin, the street thug, and say that Mark Cuban is using the hoodie based on that is ridiculous. Let me tell you something about the hoodie. In the black community where I live, which is a gentrified community, that's a gentrified neighbor part of where I live, that's kind of coming out of its shell. There are many stores that say, if you're wearing a hoodie, you can't come in here. So what do they think? Do they think Mark Cuban just came to this idea of the hoodie? The hoodie is used to obscure your view from a camera. That's it. And that's what Mark Cuban is referring to.
Grace Marie?
This whole discussion of race is so distressing, because it's bringing something forward that is in many times and in many places, it's just so inappropriate. I was at a hearing yesterday in which Senator Rockefeller, in front of the Senate Commerce Committee, said that anybody who opposes Obamacare is implied that we're racist. I mean, that has nothing to do with race. It has to do with your convictions. I don't know what Mark Cuban is talking about and whether or not he's trying to work through something on his own, but this is just getting completely out of hand and dominating our societal life, when we really should be talking about what can we do to move on. No, we're all doing this condemnation and taking things away from people. And it's
Grace Marie, the problem is that we hear a comment like that, we understand it. I know exactly what Mark Cuban's saying, because I, as a young black man, will tell you I would do the same thing. So the race isn't about, it's not what it's about. It's about the circumstance is what Mark's building on. But let him say something like that, putting in the context that you have a bias, you have profiling that you do in your own mind. When you see a kid in a hoodie late at night, depending on where you are, you probably would cross the street, and that profiling can save your life. But the problem is the left wants to seize on every little comment that comes up, and then they want to racialize it and radicalize the person who says it, because that's their way of making sure that they maintain that political correctness. And I think that's the thing that we've got to dispel. We've got to have these discussions, as painful as they may be for some. I happen to enjoy them, because I can make the left squirm in every situation where they bring up race, because they can't use it against me. I was a poor black kid who grew up in a poor black neighborhood, and I know what the black people did to the other black people in my neighborhood.
And so what
let Grace Marie finish. You go ahead.
What do we say?
Yeah,
I mean, what do you say when somebody accuses you of having a belief system that you don't? I mean, that really puts you in an incredibly difficult position.
Well, let's end it there. That's a good one. Kevin, we don't have time, unfortunately, but I appreciate the discussion. Very interesting. And, Mark Cuban, I don't think there's going to be a move afoot to strip him of the Mavericks, but he's right about the slippery slope. And I wonder if this is going to make him vote differently in the coming days when the NBA owners do vote, because if they got this on him, who knows what else they're going to find on him or any other owner. Grace Marie Turner and Kevin Jackson, thank you both very, very much. And folks, when we come back, we're going to be joined by Ron Christie, former special assistant to George W. Bush, and also worked for Dick Cheney. And we have a lot to talk about, mainly the vet scandal. And we'll be back, of course, with Ron. But first, today's America's Moment, and it takes a look at the opening of the Panama Canal. Stay tuned.
It took 34 years to build, but on August 15th, 1914, the Panama Canal was officially opened for business and was quickly crowned one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The 51-mile-long and 10-mile-wide canal was originally begun by the French, but abandoned after 9 years and the loss of over 20,000 of their workers from disease-infected jungles. President Theodore Roosevelt believed the completion of the canal was essential to American security and prosperity, so he negotiated with the French to purchase the canal's properties and dredging equipment. But when negotiations with Colombia over a canal treaty broke down, Roosevelt backed a local bloodless revolution that lasted only a few hours. And on November 3rd, 1903, the nation of Panama was born. With the opening of the Panama Canal, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were joined, reducing a ship's journey from New York to San Francisco by 9,000 miles. Roosevelt's vision made the canal a reality, and the feat helped make America a world power. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
Hi, I'm Mike.